Welcome to all of you attending the Air and Waste Management Climate Change Conference in Santa Barbara. This is Jack Broadbent and Jeff Muffat coming to you from Madrid, Spain and COP25. I hope you had a productive day yesterday and today has started off good as well. We are the observers for A&WMA this week at COP, and we will try to give you a sense of what's happening here and what's going to happen. We will try to be brief. Last week everyone was talking about the critical need to meet nationally determined contributions and how to finance the implementation of carbon reduction projects. This week everyone is talking about how do we develop the national determination credits trading program and the critical need to adopt Article 6 from the Paris Accords and the implementation of reductions that do not double count. In other words, it's critical that if carbon reductions have been used by one country, that another country does not try to use them to demonstrate how they're going to meet their reductions. Ideally, it would have been best if this video was on Thursday or Friday to provide you a sense of where and what was accomplished for the full 2 weeks here at COP. Unfortunately, with the time zone differences, the need for headquarters to edit and format this video and your conference ending on Thursday, we had to put it together on Tuesday. Timing is everything. Of the over 25 side sessions, plenary session, country pavilions, receptions, and presentations I've attended these past 10 days, I want to relate a point that Mr. Bertrand Piccard said. He's the CEO of Solar Impulse Foundation and made, which I also reported this in my blog, he was the very first person to fly a balloon capsule around the world and the first person to fly a solar-powered airplane around the world, solo. That's solar and solo. He's talked about waking up in the morning of his final day in the balloon capsule and looking out at the porthole window. All he could see was what appeared to be ice crystals with a bright red spot in the center. He said he needed to look through the ice crystals to see the dawning sun. Mr. Piccard asked, why do we only have 1 to 1.2% growth in our economies when there are thousands of clean technologies out there that with a little financing could be implemented? These technologies would certainly help grow the economy. His answer to the question was, we need to replace what is polluting with those thousands of clean technologies. Doing that will create jobs and ultimately higher international growth. We need to look through those ice crystals and see the dawning sun and implement those thousands of clean technologies. Now, I'd like to turn it over to Jack to bring you up to date on what he's been doing.
Hello from COP25. Thank you, Jeff, for the introduction. We're here in Madrid. As Jeff has indicated, this is a gathering of a variety of folks from around the world, really to address climate change, its impacts, and its solutions, frankly. So we have government officials here, of course. We have industry representatives, consultants, economists, scientists. We have activists all over the place as well from every country on earth. And overall, there's really a strong sense of urgency here, and I want to explain that. So I've been in a variety of sessions so far, and let me explain. That urgency takes two forms. First is that there's a genuine concern that the planet is going to be warming and continue to warm over the next many, many years now. That indeed 2019 is likely to be our warmest year to date. The second form of that urgency is really an eagerness for action. What I've heard from all the sessions I've been in is a variety of people that are discussing solutions and the fact that we really need to be able to take action. And that's the theme of this conference, is it's time for action, that the action needs to be more expeditious, that indeed we need to be really taking action now, because frankly, the commitments that have been made by the variety of countries from around the world are not sufficient. But let me explain a little bit further. The pavilion, as I said, are filled with both organizations and companies and individuals that are talking about solutions. For example, I've heard from a variety of organizations and companies about technological solutions for transportation. How do we convert our transportation system over to zero-emitting technologies like electric technologies and hydrogen technologies? I've been hearing and discussing with a variety of organizations and companies about wind technologies. Even how do we deploy wind technologies down on a residential level? Quite fascinating, actually. So there's a whole set of discussions about new management techniques for agricultural operations and natural lands. And then a variety of different companies and countries are talking about new management practices for how to address sea level rise. Really, how do we sit there and take lands and make them protected from what inevitably will be the sea level rise we'll experience as a result of global warming. So I want to leave you with really two overall points about what's going on here at the COP25 convention. First, there's a whole set of discussions about the fact that countries have established a set of national determined contributions, or NDCs. They did this as a result of what was called for under the Paris Climate Agreement. And so generally overall, one of the key points that are being made by everyone here is the fact that these NDCs are not going to be sufficient to be able to prevent the 1.5 or 2 degree increase that is expected over the next several decades as a result of greenhouse gases contributions and greenhouse gas increases in our atmosphere. So that's a very important point, that the NDCs that have been developed by countries are insufficient, that we need to be able to double our efforts, redouble our efforts, frankly, in terms of NDCs. So that's a very important point. The second really important point that's coming out of the COP25 convention here is what Jeff mentioned, and that's all about Article 6. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of negotiations going on with regard to the underlying structure in order to be able to make emission reduction measures and protocols, and that will allow for countries and companies to be able to develop and indeed swap and trade emission reductions in order to be able to meet their NDC obligations. Those are the really big themes that are coming out of the COP25, and we're hopeful that they'll be able to come to an agreement on the Article 6 that really governs how the underlying structure of the whole COP agreement works. So here we are in the middle of the week. We know that we think that the Article 6 hopefully will be able to be figured out by the end of this week. We're anxiously awaiting all the negotiations, but that's where we are, and I just wanted to relay to you overall our experiences here at the COP25 in Madrid. I want to wish you all a really good conference in Santa Barbara. I know it's an important effort, and I do hope it's a productive conference. So thank you.